Okay, we're very close to finishing our turtle graphics app. Now we just have to wire the classes together so they actually do something. So let's start by creating one more class, and I'll call it game. So we need few variables. First, we need the pen actions and directions variable that will hold the results of the enumerations. So I'm just going to create those. So when we pass the pen action, it will be stored in our pen variable, and the turtle directions will be in the directions variable. And we need to instantiate two objects, the turtle and the game board. So I'm declaring two objects or two variables that will be the objects, and those will be instantiated a little later in the constructor. First, we also need a boolean that will hold the result when the user presses 7. Remember, when the user presses 7, we want to quit the game. So a simple boolean called quit. And we also need an integer that will hold user input. When the user enters 1 through 7, we need to store it in some variable, and I'll call it option. And finally, since we are collecting user input, we need a scanner. So these are all the variables that we need, and I made them private because we will be using them only within this class. So now we can instantiate the objects and also assign few default values to some of the variables. And I'm going to do that in the constructor. So here's my constructor, and you can see I have my turtle and game board objects instantiated, and by default I set the quit to false, simply because we want to actually run the program. I have the scanner for the input, and I have the pen default action to be up and the direction to go north by default. Although actually, since we are going to be on the left upper corner, going north will get us nowhere because we are going to be all the way to the north, so let's do actually south. And our game class will have only one method, and that will be the game loop. So our game loop will control the flow of the whole game. It will collect the user input, it will take care of displaying the messages, and also, of course, about moving the turtle within the board. So the first thing we need to do before we even start the loop, when the game starts, we want to initialize the game board. If you look at the game board class, you can see that we have our init game board that will set the game board before the turtle is even moved. So the turtle will be in the upper left corner. So once we display the game board, we can start our do while loop that will control the flow of the game. And of course, we want to play the game until the user presses 7 and wants to quit. In other words, we will loop while not quit. While the user is not quitting, we will keep playing the game. Alright, so in our do loop, we want to first display any messages that may be there from the previous round. For example, if the user tries to move a wrong number of spaces, we want to display it on the top of the screen above the updated board. So at the beginning, when the game starts, the error messages are blank, so that nothing will be displayed. But later, if there are any messages, we will display them on the top of the screen. And to display the messages, I'll simply call the messages.errorMessage, which is the, if you look at it, our error message will simply say invalid input, the integer must be between 1 and 7. Or it may say invalid move, you can only move X number of spaces. Remember, we have our variable error message, and that's what we are actually displaying, so it could be one of these two messages. Now, once we display it, we want to remove it, because if we do another round and no error is encountered, the error message would still be having the error message from the previous round and would display again even if there was no error anymore. So we have to clear the message. So we display the message and then clear it, and then if there is another message to display, it will be assigned a value or the string, and then we will display it again. And if there is no error message, nothing is going to be displayed, it's going to be blank. So once we have our error messages displayed, or if there are blank, nothing is displayed, either way we want to display the game board. So if I go to my game board, what I want to do is to draw the game board. So I'm going to call this method, and it's asking for the position X and position Y of the turtle and the character for the turtle. So the character would be an X in our case. So after we clear the message, I'm going to call the draw game board, and I'm passing the position X of the turtle, the position Y of the turtle, and the turtle symbol. So that will display the game board, and under the game board we want to display any instructions which are in our messages. We want to display basically this table. We want to display the commands that are available for the user to choose from. So again, I'm calling messages and I'm calling the instructions method. Alright, so what's next after the messages? Well, we can display which direction the turtle is heading, and also if the pen is up or down. So I'm going to start printing the line for the pen, and I'll simply say pen is, and now I want to display if the pen is up or down. So basically I want an if statement, and if the pen is up, I want to display the pen is not drawing, and if the pen is down, I want to display that the pen is drawing. So I want an if statement that will simply check this condition, but I want to do it in line. So I'm going to use a ternary operator for that. So within the string, I'm going to ask, is the pen equal up? So pen action dot up. Or you could ask down, but it doesn't really matter. Either way, if the pen action is up, then we want to display not drawing. So the result of this will be not drawing string that will be returned and assigned to this pen is not drawing. However, if the pen is down, meaning is not up, then we want to display drawing. So this is a basic if statement, what inline we are asking if the pen is up, then display not drawing, otherwise display drawing. So we will say pen is drawing or not drawing. And under that we can display which direction the turtle is heading. So we will simply display the direction of the turtle. Remember, we have our variable called direction that has the turtle directions. However, I don't want to just display direction. I want to display the string that is represented in the direction. In other words, when you go to the string, I want to display the actual word north, east, south, and west. I don't want to display the numbers. So I will do directions dot to string. So that will display the actual words. And under that, we can finally ask the user to choose an option from 1 through 7. So we will simply ask to select the option. And under that, we will capture the option and assign it to the option variable, which is the integer. So user will enter 1 through 7, and we will get that option assigned to our variable. So we'll use the scanner next line, and we will parse the input into an integer, because obviously we want to capture an integer, not a string. Alright, so we have our input. Now we have to find out what it is. And the options are 1 through 7, so we can do an if and else if statement. So let's start with 1. So if the user entered 1, what that means, if you look at the messages, it means that the pen is up. So we will simply assign pen up to our pen variable. And similarly, if the user entered number 2, that means the pen is down. Now, if the user entered number 3, then you can see that means the user goes north, 4 means the user wants east, 5 south, and 6 west. So we will simply do an else if statement and ask if the option is 3, 4, 5, or 6, and we will assign the turtle directions accordingly. So if the user enters 3, the turtle directions will be north, and that will be assigned to our direction variable that we have over here. Alright, so we have our option 1 through 6. Now 7 means that the user wants to quit. So if the option is 7, the quit variable, which is the boolean, will now equal true. And then when we hit the loop, it will exit the loop and the program exits. And if the user enters any other number, any other than 1 through 7, then we will display an invalid input message from the messages. Now, if the user enters 3, 4, 5, or 6, that means that we won't need to move the turtle and update the game board. So we have to ask again, after we assign the values to our direction, now we have to do something with it. So if the user enters 3, 4, 5, and 6, we want to change the direction for the turtle accordingly, and then we want to ask the user how many spaces that direction he wants to move the turtle. So let's do an if statement. So if the user enters any direction option, then first we will need to display a new direction because the user just changed the original direction from the turtle, so we want to display on the screen what direction the turtle is going now. So we'll simply say turtle is moving, and again we have the directions, but that to string, just like we had before. So it will display north, east, south, or west. So once the user chooses the direction, we ask how many spaces he wants to move the turtle. And next, of course, we need to capture the input, and I'll capture it into an integer called spaces. And I'm once again using scanner, that next line, and I'm converting everything to an integer. So once the user enters the integer, it's assigned to spaces variable. And now, remember in our turtle class, in our last video, we created the method called walk that takes the direction, the number of spaces to move, and whether the pen is up or down. And this is the method that will make the turtle move and draw if the pen is down. So we're gonna call that method, and we will pass the direction, spaces, and pen as arguments. So this is our game class, and in the next video we are ready to run it.